Snyder. The WCCUSD operates with a serious conflict of interest between construction interests and the school district. So I wasn't surprised at Bill Fay's response to Linda Lozito's public records request for documents which would justify the need for a seventh bond. He said the documents wouldn't be ready until, get this, June 3rd. It's actually laughable. This is the same person who said at a public meeting regarding the bond program, quote, "We do not suppress budget," and quote, "There are no controls to contain the budget." At that meeting he was asked, if an engineer makes a mistake, who absorbs the cost? Mr. Fay's response was, the cost is absorbed by the district. It's no surprise that the documents which would theoretically support the need for a seventh bond aren't being made available to a member of the public before the election. Perhaps the documents don't even exist. It appears that the district sees the taxpayer as an ATM machine, and the primary purpose of the school district is to funnel money from the ATM machine to the companies that profit from the bond program. These same companies have contributed millions of dollars in campaign contributions. This clearly creates a conflict of interest. Bond numbers 1 through 6 should have provided more than enough money to remove asbestos and fix bad wiring. If $1.6 billion isn't enough, maybe it's because, as Mr. Fay said, there are no budgets to control costs, and if a contractor screws up, the district pays for it. Our bond program costs twice as much on a per-student basis than San Diego and LA Unified School Districts. This is what happens when a school board's priority is to return favors to their campaign supporters, and it's the definition of conflict of interest.
Any other speakers?
I know we don't have much time, but I'd like to point out that Mr. Kelly had raised some questions about why we should be discussing this at all, and to me it's because the way to focus on this for us as a committee is more what went on with the 6 previous bonds that are under our control that created a situation where we needed this 7th bond. So that's how I would phrase my questions. It's not whether we should pass Measure H but what is there in our current bond program that creates the need for Measure H. So I just want to throw these out, and I know we don't have much time, and so I don't expect an answer. But part of the theme is to have equity for the school construction, as if this is finally we're going to get equity. What the question to me is how maybe we could consider this at future meetings is have we been inequitable with our current program? Is that why we have the need to remedy that problem by creating equity, by having to solve and finally have equity in the school construction? Another thing is we relied on matching state funding, and that was an important part of our previous program. So I'll skip that because I think that's right up, but that would be forward-looking, which is what we're supposed to look at. The one question I would have is, we had a school closure plan that was removed because people didn't like it, obviously, but what would have been the impact on our in terms of how much of this hole that we have to fill with Measure H if we had actually fulfilled the school closure plan that the state trustee was trying to promote, or state trustee was trying to promote, and then and that's it.
Next question for staff. Is Dr. Harter?
So I don't have an exact figure. I think what you're talking about, Mr. Collins, is that Shannon Elementary was at one point in time on the school closure list, and now we're preparing, and then Lakewood another one, and Belinda was not ever on the school closure list, but it certainly was considered for that, and all those are in the planning stage now. I don't know what the total, we were also spending some money at Kennedy High School.
Well, to tie it back to the function of this committee, which is to look at ongoing expenditures, was it ever brought up to the bond oversight committee whether the school closure issue as something that was a construction issue and not just an issue about program? Because it seems like now we're seeing that before people just didn't cost by closing the school. So now you can see that it also has all these implications for the construction budget, because you can't just, you have to actually put money in them if you're going to keep them open. So the specific question I have, to your knowledge, did it ever come to this committee to discuss it from a
Not
construction?
that I recall.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Collins, you're right. I don't think we should be discussing this, but since we are, I can't help but ask 2 questions here. We've had 2 citizens stand up here and say they've asked this district for documents under the Public Records Disclosure Act that are certainly relevant to a measure that is presently on the ballot, and which arguments have appeared that have been signed by people sitting at this table, supporting these and stating that these tax rate statements are accurate, et cetera, and yet our citizens are being told that documents they're asking for are not available, are not in the quote, under the custody or control of the district, that they won't be ready till election day. I mean, it's true that I was born at night, Dr. Harter, but I was not born last night.
Dr. Harter, you mentioned about the ANZA being completed. I continue to raise the question about the ANZA. Maybe staff can verify. Is the ANZA 100% completed?
It is not.
No, Mr. Wall, and we addressed that actually in the last meeting. We still have one building to go, actually it's going out to bid by the end of this month.
Okay, so, in the future, let's not, I've been on the ANZA because, and I'll make it very quick, I'm sure you know my cause on this, is that we went out there for a tour, and we were told that it was complete, and it was not complete. We discovered that there was a fire, and there was an insurance issue, and let's not publicly proclaim that these projects are 100% complete. And as chair of the audit committee, it's disingenuous, and I keep asking about what the status of that back parking lot is. So let's not give erroneous information that these projects are complete. The second thing is that when I was in Southern California with the Downey Unified School District on their bond committee, and Cerritos College, the community college, everything was done in phases. The elementary schools were done first, the middle schools were done second, and the high schools were done last. And I see there's still an outstanding list, and I would ask that that list be clarified as to how it breaks out in terms of elementary, middle, and high school that proposed to be covered under Measure H.
Any further comments? Okay, let's move on now to agenda item C